All right, we're moving into our softer portion, our more thoughtful portion of our practice this evening. Sometimes we can just fall into that ease on certain days, and other days we have to kind of get those really deep wiggles and stretches out and bigger movements before it feels settling to come to this bit quieter space. Whatever position you're in, we are coming into a seat. So find your way there. You can rock and roll. It's my favorite way to fling myself up, but some people like to roll over onto a side. And once you get yourself into your seat, you're going to take those same kind of goalposty, cactusy kind of arms. We said cactus arms all the time in California because we had big cactuses there as well as other places. But Wyoming guys are like, cactus arms? Goalposts. All right, so once you get yourself into these goalpost arms, you're going to take some gentle twists to your left and to your right. And your arms could just be lifted. If you want to add a little bit more work to the shoulders while you're twisting left and right, you can activate the shoulders a bit more by feeling as if you're pulling your shoulder blades towards your spine, towards each other, kind of like you're closing two sliding doors. Just give a little squeeze and then add the twist. You don't have to stay with the squeeze either if you give it a go and you're like, nope. And then whatever side you're at right now, just kind of hold there for a moment, hang out for a sec. Maybe you look forward. And then you can unwind, pick your other side, get into that twist for a moment. Look forward. And then bring it back to center. And then keeping your arms, your upper arms kind of even with the floor, we're going to rotate the palms, come down so they're flat. And then the palms, maybe they feel like they're going to reach behind you, like you're going to slap the wall, but you won't get all the way there. It's just not the way the shoulders work. And then you come back up. I'll just do this a couple of times. So it's like you're turning your goalpost arms up and down. And then maybe like the third time or so, you can drop them down and let it go. And just give a little roll. I know lots of shoulder love today. I don't know who else is doing this all day on a computer, but it's just nice to open up, let it reach back behind you. And then play a little bit more with the neck here. So looking left and right. And then when you look off towards one side, maybe you try to look just a little bit more behind you, like you're an owl. We'll come to your other side, look over your other shoulder, take a moment, and then try to look a little bit more behind you. If you feel like your shoulders kind of scrunched up and help, you can soften them a little. We'll come back to center. And then that really awesome chin tuck thing that we do. So you're nodding your head, but you're going with your chin. So your chin comes towards the chest, almost towards the collarbones, and then your chin jumps up towards the ceiling. My shoulders keep wanting to help. They keep tensing up and reaching towards the sky. If that's you, then just remind them, soften. I don't need you to do this work right now. You can help me later. And then if circling around is enjoyable, or if you want to go back to looking left or right or any other thing, just move the head and neck around for a moment on your own. Get into all the bits and places. We're going to come onto the hands and knees from here. So your first job in this position on hands and knees is just to find some wiggles. So if you enjoy shifting forward and back on your hands and knees, if you like to wiggle your bottom around like you have a tail, if you like to get a little side stretch in, cat and cow is always a great one, imagining that you're zippering one vertebra at a time up your spine and then back down. It's a little bit more like you're segmenting the spine rather than just lifting the chest and dropping it down. All just some ideas. We've done a lot of externally rotating, opening chest kind of work. So we're going to thread the needle so that we can get a little back body stretch into and add some internal rotation. So from hands and knees, you're going to reach your right arm up towards the sky. And then your right arm gets to thread underneath your left so that that right shoulder can come down, right cheek comes down to the floor. And then enjoy exactly where you landed, or you can adjust if you want to feel something different. So you can adjust the legs if you want to add some more twist to the spine. You might try pressing the back side of your palm into the floor, or the arm that's reached up overhead, press it down. You can just soften into this pose if you like. You don't have to be doing something active. You can just be lying and enjoying. We're going to be here for a few breaths. So if you are taking a more active approach, you might consider towards the end, or when you've had enough, soften. Fall more delicately into your position. And just another couple of breaths here to settle down, settle in, let the heart rate drop a little. If you're satisfied with this particular pose and what you got out of it, then you'll bring your palm back to the mat so that you can use it to press up and out. You'll reach that right arm back up if you want that extra little twist once you get up to the table, and then you can plant the palm back down. Yeah. And then guess what? We get to do the other beautiful side. So from tabletop, you'll reach that left arm up, and then it gets to sweep under the right, lacing underneath, and the left shoulder comes down to your mat this time. Yep. Settle in. Know that you'll be here for a few moments. So if you want to push or pull into one spot or the other, just know that you'll have time to soften and relax as well. If you happen to be adding a little bit more work to your position and you want to soften for the final breaths, now's a good time to let it go, to drape into the floor. And then your arm that's top side reached out, you can plant that palm back down, press into it, unwind. If you want, you can reach that left arm back up in a twist. Nice. And then you'll find yourself back into your tabletop. Nice. From your tabletop, tuck the toes. And then we're going to sit back on them. So when you tuck the toes and you come upright, if that's not feeling awesome for toes or for hips or any of the bits, you can also just plant the top of your foot down and come to a seat. Either way, you're getting there, right? And then we're going to press with our palms into our thighs and kind of give ourselves a little thigh massage here. So you'll shift forward, use your palms to push, massage. You can lean back and forward. Just give a little stretch and a love there for a moment. You can put a little bit more weight into one side or the other, and you can kind of shift back like you're kneading bread, left to right. You might even get really close to your hip crease. Push a little bit in there too. If being on toes isn't working so well, you can always plant the tops of the feet down, or you can try going back to toes. And then maybe just squeeze a little with the hands and palms and fingers. We're going to come back to our tabletop, and then we're going to come onto the belly. So a couple of choices coming onto the belly. Do you want to just roll on down? Do you want to take a slow coming to the floor? It's up to you. Do you want to add a push-up or two in there and then come down? I say the word push-up and everybody always is like, no. Just a choice. From the belly, you're going to soften into the head and neck. So if you prefer a forehead down to the mat, you might just have the forehead right on the mat, or you can bring your palms underneath the forehead to rest. If you like a left or a right cheek, we're just going to find a way that feels comfortable for your head and neck. And then you're going to find what I call frog leg with your left leg. So you're just going to let the knee come out and then slide up on the floor. So if you're face down, you just have like a little kickstand, almost like you're doing tree pose, but facing down. And you get a little bit of time here to toy with this hip. So you might play with a couple of angles here. Maybe your foot comes closer to your bottom, or maybe it slides a little further away. So the foot can remain on the floor. It's just going to slide either in towards your groin, or it's going to slide away. So it's like you're bending at the knee and letting your frog leg be a little less 90-90, or you tuck your foot right into your crotch area. I couldn't think of a better word. You can also, to adjust this this pose, you can bring the knee closer to the head, drag it still, the whole leg still on the floor, or you can bring it further away. So if you were in a tree pose, you would just be bringing the knee up more towards the sky or your head. And then you're welcome to play with any of those positions. If one felt like it was soothing, maybe you remain there for a couple of breaths. If one felt like it was challenging you in a good way, Maybe stretching something or coming right up against a little wall of a limit. You know, this is a time where you get to choose, once again, what's your path for this evening? We're gonna be here for a few more inhales and exhales. So if wherever your leg is at is not where you want it to be, if you want to add more softness, then you could just let your leg go long and you can just simply be on your belly, long legged. Doesn't have to be in that frog pose the whole time. We're still finding our breath. We're still connecting from head to toe, from shell to inner side. We'll come to our second leg. So for those of you that I can see that your forehead or chin is down, but if those of you have a cheek or left or right, maybe you consider switching which cheek is facing on the floor. And then you can bring your second knee up into a frog-like pose. I'm yet to meet a soul that has perfectly symmetrical left and right hips. So if that's you, let me know. I'll think it's very cool. But play around with how close your foot is to the inside of that other long-legged thigh. Maybe it comes out a little bit more like your knee is bending at 90 degrees. You can keep your knee fairly low and far from the top of your mat, or you can reach your knee a little bit more towards the top of your mat. And find the breath. Sip in the stillness. You might start to let the mind go blank, or you might be considering how your hips are different side to side. Maybe you're contemplating world peace. You do you. We're going to stay for just a couple more breaths. So choice here to stay with your leg, whatever position it's in, or let it come back long next to the other. And I'm going to offer you a little bit of hip extension. So as you're still on your belly, you're going to try to dig that right bony hip point into the mat so that it's stationary, like it's glued down. Take a bend into the left knee so the foot goes up towards the sky. And you can flex into the ankle if you want, or you can let it be soft. And then while keeping that right hip really pushed down and the left hip even pushed down into the mat, you're going to lift the knee and the thigh. So we're trying to get the hip to extend behind us instead of flexing into the low back or shifting the pelvis. We're trying not to tilt the pelvis. We're just trying to get a little extension here. And you can lift and lower the thigh, or lift the thigh and hang on to the lift if you want. Hold the lift. Like a little pulsing. Feels kind of nice. Trying not to move the hips too much. The left and right of the pelvis is more exact, and the thigh bone is the one that's moving. trying to reach behind me. You might do that 1 or 2 more times, pause or no pause. And then you can let that leg go long for a moment. We'll try the second side. So left knee bends, and you can flex into the ankle if you'd like, and trying to keep the left and the right hip stationary, pushing into the ground. Just let the thigh bone reach up and extend towards the sky. Like you're trying to kick the ceiling. We don't need too much extension behind us. So if you only lift a little bit, that's totally fine. That's about right. If you can tap your back of the head with your foot, let me know. That's a party trick. And then 1 or 2 more, you can either pause and lift, or you can release and let go and soften for a moment. Oh, and this is not my cool name, but slumber party legs. So you get to bend into both knees, and the knees get to windshield wiper left and right. Kind of reminds me of slumber party name. I thought it was so aptly named, slumber party legs. You could even get a little like circling round, like you're creating a figure 8 kind of motion with the knees and legs, or any other kind of cool little movements here. Letting the hips rock and roll around. And if you're circling around, maybe you go the other direction for a moment or two. I always forget the other side. And then we can let the legs go long, and we're gonna roll onto our bellies. So just roll it on over, come onto your bellies. I'm gonna come up to feet, but you all are gonna stay down. I think I said roll onto your belly like 3 times. Roll onto your back. Everyone did it. They're like, oh, she's got it. She's got herself crossed again. You're on your backs. And from our back, let your left leg go long, and you're going to bring your right knee in towards your chest. And however you can grip the knee with both of your hands, you're going to try to soften as much as you can into your hip crease, into your glutes, so that almost like your leg that's coming in towards your chest is, it cannot move on its own, as if your muscles have lost all ability to move. And you're going to circle around gently using your arms. And if you're like me, your hip flexor is like, I want to help, I want to help. You can softly tell it like, hey, you don't need to help right now. My arms are doing all the work. I'm just circling around. Imagine that your leg is absolutely powerless to move itself. And all the work's coming from the arms. Switch your direction if you already haven't. And then choice here to hold yourself in a particular position if you'd like. So if you want a little bit more of an open hip experience, you might bring the knee more towards like your armpit or the mat, and then you might draw it up towards your chest. If you want a little stretch maybe for like the outer side of the hip, you might go across your chest and hold on towards your knee towards chest. There might be another position you really enjoyed, like, oh, I love tucking it in, squeezing it. And just find something that feels good for a moment. And then we let that leg go long. And we try it all on our second side. So left knee comes in towards chest, and find a way that you can hold it with the hands and the arms. so that you can try to release all tension in the muscles for that leg. The leg has lost its ability to move itself. So now we're moving it with just the arms, maybe little baby circles. We know that our leg has a lot of range of motion. Our hip joint has a lot of range of motion, but if you're holding on with your arms, you might be limited to how long your arms are. It's fine. If your hip crease is really firing up, you gotta soften, soften, soften. Turn the circles the other way if you haven't already. And then find a position that feels nice. So if you like the open leg effect, you might draw the knee towards your armpit and the outer side of your body and mat. If you like, bring it in across and maybe giving yourself a little outer hip and thigh stretch there. And then you get to soften into the whole leg, the whole arms. You let the leg fall along with the other. And these are our final moments already. So if, again, something comes to mind that you need to fulfill the rest of your practice, then take your final movements. If you want to add extra rest, you've already bookmarked to everyone in your house, I'm not leaving the room, don't come knocking until 6:50, then use these moments to rest instead of move. Find softness, but also find where you're gripping and holding still. You can lightly touch those areas that might help support you in releasing. I like to talk to that spot, gently coaxing it into letting go. And start to wind down to your final shape. And start to draw the rest of your attention inward. Your focus can be on nothing. Your focus can be on something very specific. Can you bring your focus to a single point within? To draw the curiosity, to sit with any emotion that arises and accept it for what it is today. It could be different tomorrow. Thank you all for sharing your practice with me this evening, and I hope that you carry this lightness with you out into the world and share it with others. Stay and rest as long as you're able. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, everyone.